there. Thank you for checking out this edition of R&R's Ask the Expert. Today, I am very excited to be joined by two of the leaders of the IICRC. So I am joined by Kevin Pearson, who is the current chair of the board, and Michael Dakduke, who is the president and CEO of the IICRC. So for those of you, I think probably most people watching this video know what the IICRC is, but they have been around since 1972. They have about 60,000 certified technicians worldwide and 6,000 certified firms. It's one of the biggest organizations in the industry, really important when it comes to certification, education, standards, all of those things. So I am going to jump right into this, hand it over to Kevin and Michael. Let's, I guess, start with Michael. Have you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your role with the IICRC?
Oh, thanks, Michelle. First, let me just say I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and to share what the IICRC is doing. I am the newest member of the team. I started earlier this year, in March specifically, and my background is in career, technical, and trade education. More specifically, I've worked in nonprofits, supporting military veterans and working in higher education trade schools, supporting adult learners and students attain different types of credentials, whether they be degrees or certificates in becoming technical and trade professionals. So think welding, HVAC technicians, but also other career professions like nursing. So anything that leads to a specific job, and that's what really drew my attention to IICRC. Because this is kind of outside of the purview of the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., since these are short-term certifications or industry certifications, but it's so vital to technicians in the industries that we serve. So I'm also returning home. I previously worked in Washington, D.C., in my hometown, born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, where our Global Resource Center is, our headquarters building. So I just returned home again in March of this year. So really excited to be here, an absolute privilege to be at the helm alongside Kevin, our board chairman of the Institute.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. All right, Kevin, let's toss it over to you and tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit about those trophies in the background that are wearing Santa hats.
You know, I change those up a little bit every now and then. Sometimes they wear Astros ties. Sometimes they wear different things. So, you know, it kind of depends on what's going on. But yeah, we did some painting in the house, and so usually I just have one behind me. But we moved another one over here, so now we have two. So, but yeah, so I've been in the industry since 1992. I was actually in college in a small East Texas town, Nacogdoches, in 1992, and was at a friend's house, and he said, "Hey, you need to go check out working for this guy. You need a job. He's got a job." And so I went and cleaned apartments with him until midnight one night, and then he said, "Hey, you know, come on and work for me." So I did, and we used to travel around the kind of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana area, drying big buildings. And so I did that for about 10 years, and then started my own cleaning and water restoration company in 2001. And my dad and I started it together, which was kind of interesting because everybody wanted to talk to Dad and nobody cared to talk to the young guy. And so Dad had the gray hair, so everybody wanted to talk to him. So I would just hand him a stack of papers and say, "Here you go get this filled out, talk to the customer," and I'd go do all the work. And so Dad and I grew that business, and we were able to sell it in January of 2018. And so, so I've been in the industry for a long time. I've done a lot of things from cleaning, restoration. I still do some inspections which kind of covers all the disciplines of the IICRC. And so it's been an interesting ride. I enjoy it way more than I ever thought I would, probably close to 30 years ago now. So, because back then it was just cleaning carpet, but now it's so much more. So, and we, you know, seeing as I kind of made a career path out of it, it's kind of nice to be able to put things in place now with the IICRC for others to have a career path.
Okay, so kind of talking about career path, what can you both tell us, and I'll let you guys decide who wants to tackle it first, but what can you tell us about the importance or the value of being both a certified technician? I know that there are a lot of different certifications out there, and they range in, you know, from like lower end WRT all the way up to, you know, triple master, whatever. There, you know, there's a lot of levels that you can achieve. So what is the value of being a certified technician and also a certified firm?
Yeah, you know, I'll take that since I own the water restoration company and all that. The value to me was always the knowledge I gained and the fact that I could tell people, hey, it's not just something where, you know, we're spraying down something and sucking it back up. There's some science behind it. And there's actually, you have to know a little bit of chemistry to be able to get certain spots up. You have to be able to have a knowledge base. Was always important to me, to know how to do the job properly. It not only taught me how to do the job properly, but whenever I got certifications, you know, there was things that it taught me how to run a business. It taught me how to be a professional, not just the guy on the truck, but to you know, to be more of a professional. And that was really the value for me whenever, you know, I had the business all those years.
Michael, anything you want to add, or I can jump to
Yeah,
that?
I'll just add in any technical or trade field, when you receive an industry certification, it shows the public, it shows your customers that you're committed to your craft.
Mhm.
That's the reason why industry certifications are so valued, regardless of what technical or trade field you're in. And IICRC is the preeminent leader when it comes to uh, inspection, cleaning, and restoration. That's the world we live in, and we only focus on education. And you mentioned this, and I'm so glad you did, Michelle, at the beginning of our of this piece, and that is our mission is squarely focused on two educational means, and that is standards, and not just any standards, industry recognized standards that are accredited. And we go through a rigorous process for that independent accreditation, and it means a lot. And the vast majority of our certifications are derived from our accredited industry recognized standards. So that's the commitment. And the other thing I'll say is for the new or entry level technicians, just do a search of restoration and cleaning for a job search and see how many employers are looking for IICRC certified technicians. So there's so many opportunities out there for the new or aspiring certified technician. And then the final thing I'll say is on certified firms, we're rolling out quite a bit of new benefits for certified firms as we speak, especially as we move into the new calendar year. One of those things is going to be a digital badge. We already provide kind of a physical decal that individuals can put, or logos that companies, certified firms can put on their trucks, or they can put on their websites. And we're going to have digital badges so that the technicians can always pull up that they're a part of a certified firm on their iPad, smartphone, or whatever it may be, so that they show, hey, we're part of this bigger educational community. We are committed to lifelong learning and mastering our craft.
Beautiful. Okay, so talking about the certification stuff. So at the time that we're recording this, it's early December of 2020. And so we are kind of in the second wave of the pandemic. A lot has changed. There's a lot more online certification and training now. So what kind of changes has the IICRC made within the last year and moving into 2021 to help with certifications and making those still possible when people aren't maybe traveling as much?
Yeah, so Michelle, right after Mike started, as about 6 days after Mike started is when the pandemic kind of hit. And so he was on the job for 6 days. I had just left Vegas and flew back to Houston. And he called me and said, it was like 7, 8 o'clock at night, my time. And he called me and he said, hey, I have to shut the office down by noon tomorrow and send everybody home to work. And so from that point on, technology has played a huge part in what we've done. So we were able to get things like live chat on the homepage of the IICRC website up and running, which was huge because people can chat right with one of our CSRs there at the office and get their questions answered. They don't have to call. It's super easy. But we also, a few days later, I said, hey, I don't think this thing's going to end very quick, Mike. We need to look at doing online streaming of classes. So I called a board meeting, and we had a board meeting on Wednesday night. By the following Monday, we had live streaming of classes up and running. And I joke, anybody that's been around IICRC for very long, it's probably the fastest any big thing like that's ever happened. But it's kind of true. It just is kind of a shame that it took a pandemic to make it happen. But live streaming of classes has been huge for us. And in January of 2021, we'll be coming out with e-learning or module type learning. And so we expect that that's going to be another great way for registrants to be able to learn. Not everybody learns the same way. And I told somebody this the other day. I said I took the OSHA 10-hour course online in a module type learning format. And I mean, it was okay. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of boring. I had stuff I was trying to do at night, and I decided to do it at night. And of course, then now it's everybody's home, and I'm missing things and trying to eat dinner at the same time. I don't know. It just, to me, I didn't enjoy it as much as going to a class.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have people that learn all kinds of different ways. And that's the important part, is now you can take a class in person, you could take a live streaming class, or you could take an e-learning formatted class. And so it's important, I think, for us to have all the different types available to people, so that they can learn the way they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really, I guess, where we're going with it, and using technology is really helping us get there.
Yes. Okay. Michael, anything you want to add to that one?
The chairman mentioned at the beginning of his remarks that we instituted a live chat so that when we previously had to shut the building down and when there were closures, not only in the United States, but all around the country or around the world, businesses had to close down and people had to stay home. So we knew we couldn't answer the phones, but we still needed to deliver a high level of customer service. So we put a chat function on our website, and I'm proud to report that we had over 90%. I think we ended our fiscal year in October at a 93% satisfaction rating for our chats. And that is well above the industry average. And we had never done that before. So we're very proud of that. And we are committed to customer service. We know that there are a lot of technicians that are waiting for their certifications and their pocket cards and verification and confirmation of their grades. And our job is to get that information to them quickly So we try to be very transparent and open with them. And in fact, our commitment to customer service hasn't stopped there. If you just type in IICRC into Google, your Google search engine, you're going to see our Google rating on the side bar there, and it'll show a 4.9 out of 5-star rating for customer satisfaction. And I think that our team is so committed to our technicians that they understand, hey, even though we shut down, we still got to get these certs out to them. We still got to make sure their grades are done on time. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to get as many out as possible. Nothing has stopped. The learning still occurs. Instructors are out there teaching, whether it be via live stream or in person. That's certainly been revived since there's been more reopenings. So we're excited about that, and we're doing our best here, which is indicated by the various ratings that we've received. So we're very, very proud of that, and I think we're excited to continue to support our technicians moving into 2021.
Love it. Okay. So going back to industry standards. So I know that they are always in the works. There are some that have been around, like the S500 and S520 for a while. There are newer ones always coming out. So what can you guys tell us about where standards are today? How many are there? Are there any in revisions? Are there new ones coming out soon? What's in the works with standards right now?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let
Yeah,
you take
there's
it.
a whole other segment that can be done on standards.
Yeah.
That's heavy. But there's 20 standards and 2 field guides in various stages of development currently. And that's really exciting. But you mentioned 2 of the more well-known standards in S500 and S520. So we're talking about mold and water. One of the things that Kevin and I are really excited about, and we talked about this as soon as I started. Kevin actually sort of gave me this directive and said, hey, we're a global nonprofit organization. This institute serves more than just North America, and we need to live by the name of Global Resource Center, which is where our headquarter offices are located. So we created this strategic plan, and we targeted overseas locations, starting with Australia and New Zealand. And the S500 and S520 are we currently submitted, or we have applications pending for Standards Australia. And Standards Australia is essentially the standards body that's the equivalent of ANSI, the American National Standards Institute here in the States, which we are accredited by. We have submitted those 2 standards, S500 and S520, to Standards Australia so that they can be locally adopted in Australia and New Zealand. So we're really excited about that. That's kind of our first foray into the overseas market in a more formal manner. We've always been over there. We've had certified technicians over there, but now we're trying to get that third-party stamp of approval from their country, their local region, and we're really, really excited about that. In fact, we had over 150 letters of support from constituents in New Zealand and Australia when we submitted our applications for those local modified adoptions of those 2 standards.
You know, Michelle, if I could add to that, we also had the S100 and S220 that just came out of public review. And I believe the S220 is going straight to editing. I don't think there was any thing that needed to be addressed by the committee. But I think the S100, the carpet cleaning standard, is going back. Some of the questions will have to be addressed by the committee. The S500 is also close to coming out again, the latest edition. It's gone through public review. I believe everything was answered, and all the questions people had were answered, and it should hopefully be on track to still be coming out in the next few months. So those are some of the ones that are people kind of keep track of.
So why is it so important for restorers to know and understand the standards, especially when they're doing probably water and mold jobs, since those are the most common, the S500 and S520, but I know there's fire as well. So why are the standards so important in understanding those when you go into a loss?
It just kind of helps keep you out of trouble. For the main reason, if you understand what you're doing and you're doing it to the standard, it's a whole lot less likely that something's going to kind of blow up in your face. You're still probably going to have the difficult customer from time to time, but knowing the standards really going to help you get through the job, get it done properly, be able to pass your clearance testing or whatever you have to do at the end of the job. um, and that's the real um, to me, that was always a real big part of knowing the standard, and just helping me get through the jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, Michael, I'll start with you on this next one. This is one of my favorite questions right now because it's been such an interesting year. What is the biggest trend that you have seen in the restoration and cleaning industry so far in 2020?
In 2020, I think it was marked by change and the ability to evolve. I'm sure all of the technicians in restoration recognize that as we collectively face this pandemic. And for us, it was the same, leveraging technology to essentially serve our customers, which are restoration technicians seeking education. So we're going to continue doing that, leveraging technology into 2021. That's not going to change for us. I don't see that changing for the foreseeable future. And I think that's something we are going to kind of hone in on and recognize that we're going to have to utilize technology more, just like we're doing here in this recorded interview. And we're going to deliver education that way. But I also think that this is going to evolve even further, and that is there'll be more hybrid learning type of learning. I think we're already seeing discussions around that and desire to move towards hybrid learning, which to me, it's not foreign. I come from a higher education background. Hybrid education, or a mix of somebody going to a brick and mortar classroom and then taking some form of the education online is fairly common nowadays. I think that us adopting that in the industry certification and education world is it's about time. We should be doing that. So I know a lot of our leaders out there have been wondering when we would do that. I know that there are a lot of technicians that are aspiring master certified technicians that wouldn't otherwise have access to classes, and now they have. And that was a unique trend in 2020. Individuals that couldn't get it before, couldn't jump on a plane to go take a course that was located elsewhere, or had to wait for someone to come into their local area or region to take a course to get on track. They can now do that with live stream and soon e-learning. So I think that was a trend that happened because of the pandemic, but it was I consider it a welcome opportunity, and one of those things where we are kind of excited to embrace it moving forward in new ways, such as e-learning. Kevin?
Yeah, I just think I think it was this week or last week, I got a text from one of my old employees that said, "Hey, thanks for sending the email that said I passed my fire course." And I'm thinking, well, first, I didn't send the email, the staff did, but it's kind of interesting just to think where we are at this time this year, that we can actually take courses via live stream. And like my ex-employee, this helped him get his master designation. And so not only did he get a new cert, he got his master. And it's kind of neat to hear those stories whenever you put something in place like this, and then it actually helps people. And because they're not going to travel during this time to go take these classes. And so he was able to do it all online and still get a certification. And to me, that's one of the things that I always try to remind the board and stuff is, hey, we're doing stuff for people that 99.9% of the time, we're never going to know these people. We're never going to, we're never going to meet them or any of that. But we still need to do this for the registrants and our certified firms. It's the right thing to do and to help people move forward with their lives and their careers. So it's been huge to be able to put technology in place to make all this happen during the pandemic.
Okay, so this kind of goes hand in hand with the question I just asked, but thinking in terms of contractors, what do you both believe that contractors need to keep in mind to stay relevant post-pandemic world going into the future as a restorer? Kevin, let's start with you on that one.
You know, it's kind of the same thing that you have to do just naturally anyways when you're in business and you don't really think about it, but you have to adapt and change. And the way you did things last year or 5 years ago may not always be the correct way to keep moving forward. And so sometimes you just hit something so obvious like the pandemic that it forces all of us to change. But I think back to my business, and naturally over the course of that business, we had to change and modify and grow and do things differently to keep in business and to keep your customers happy. So I think that's one of the things that hopefully people have taken away from this is, you're constantly going to have to change to be able to grow.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Michelle, it's interesting. You asked about it specifically for restoration contractors, but I always find questions like that are relevant no matter what business you own or running. It doesn't matter. You have to focus on your core competencies, and to Kevin's point, you have to be willing to evolve. And it all sounds so easy, but it's amazing how challenging things become when you're facing so many different obstacles, like the pandemic, or there are external threats out there, on top of daily competition that you might face. But it's always the same. And as Kevin mentioned, it's your ability to evolve, change, while staying focused on the things you're really good at. The same for us. I tend to, no matter what organization I've run, I always try to keep my focus on one hand. So you always just don't make more priorities than you can count on one hand. And I think it's easy for people to we're going to do all of these different things, and then you spread yourself too thin. Mm-hmm. In fact, what I always try to do, if I can get away with it, is only do it to 3. I believe in the power of 3. Count 3 priorities, because 1, 2, 3 is so easy to remember. And in fact, that's what we did for our fiscal year that we're in right now. We have 3 main priorities we're focused on, and we're a fairly large organization. So I certainly encourage many of our restoration contractors and those that are running businesses, which I'm sure many of them are doing very well right now. So just stay focused and keep doing what you're doing. I think they're doing a great job, because we're actually closing in on 7,000 certified firms, not just 6,000 now. So we're seeing an uptick there. I think we're at 6,700. We're kind of excited about that. So keep doing what you're doing out there for our especially our restoration contractors. I know that's the primary audience here, and we appreciate you guys continuing to renew your certified firms, and for the new ones that are there, keep it up. Once this pandemic lifts, I can't wait to visit several of you.
Hey, Michelle, and I can definitely testify to Mike keeping 3 things that he wants to keep in the forefront at all times. It seems like I'm the guilty one when it comes to trying to sidetrack him. Ooh, there's this new shiny thing over here we need to go do. And Mike's like, yeah, remember we got this strategic plan. and and we got these three things. And so yeah, it's definitely, it can be hard to stay focused, but you got to keep reminding yourself, hey, I'm focused on these things right now, and until I accomplish them, I'm not going to go and try to accomplish something else. So
Entrepreneurs like shiny objects. It's yeah. Yes.
right.
Okay. Anything else that either of you want to add before we wrap it up?
Well, I just would like to say thanks for asking Mike and I to be on here. You know, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to tell about all the wonderful things going on at the IICRC. I don't think a lot of times registrants and certified firms know a whole lot about what's going on. They just know, hey, I need my certification or whatever. I call, and you know, so to be able to hear us saying what's coming down the pike and all is appreciated, to be able to have that the time to do that. So I just thank you again for, and you know, having us on today.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate both of you. Michael, anything else you want to add, or are you?
No, thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right. So for anybody watching this, if you want to learn more about the IICRC, how to become a certified firm, how to get your technicians certified, the standards, any of it, you can find it all on iicrc.org. And be sure to check out rnrmagonline.com for more Ask the Expert interviews in the future. Thank you both, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day.